Favorite albums. Everybody has them, and we're going to talk about that in today's video. Our favorite albums as of right now. I am obviously with my wonderful Alexa. Hello.
Hi.
Did you miss everybody, Alexa?
Hell yeah.
Now, obviously, we're going to be talking about some albums, but I do have an EP on my list, and she does as well. So we're going to just get that out of the way and tell you that we have an EP, so not an album. But yeah, the whole point of this video is just to hang out and tell you guys about all these albums we're very much having enjoyment with. And I know, right? What was that? All right, I'm going to start things off, and I just mentioned how I have an EP on my list, and I'm going to get that out of the way, and this EP is by the band Sicada, and this EP is called Cellar Door. And Sicada, which by the way, we saw last night in Oakland, me, Alexa, and Hannah. And they were probably my favorite band out of everyone, and dude, they just went crazy. And the energy was exactly how you would expect Cicada to be, a screamo band, and it was off the charts. They were my favorite. I love the riffs. I love just their sound. So yeah, if you see Cicada near you, do yourself a favor and go check them out because they're worth your time. That EP is also worth your time. Do you have any thoughts on Cicada from last night, Alexa?
The energy was crazy. There was a big old pit going, you know, and I stood in the back because I'm too scared to do that. I'm really scared someone's going to rip my septum out, and I worked too hard to get it this big, and I'm not going to have it ripped out by someone. Okay, the first band, album, whatever. Oh my god. I also have an EP to share with you guys, just one. I don't know, like, the exact genre, but I think it's in the screamo realm. It's a split with A Day's Refrain and Neil Perry. Yeah, I found it off TikTok, some video. I was like, oh my gosh, this sound is immaculate. So I looked it up, and very energetic, and they have really nice riffs, and I like how it goes from like quiet to like really chaotic. It's worth giving a listening to, however you say that phrase. My favorite song off this split is Fading Away Like the Rest of Them by Neil Perry.
This next album we actually have on both of our lists, and it's by the band Thursday, and it's called Waiting. I don't have like the craziest things to say about this album. I just know that I really love the first two songs off here, and I just love the voice. I love the energy, and Alexa keeps saying that she put me on, but we both found Thursday at the same time, so I never want to hear her say that she put me on. So
whatever. The way I discovered this album was from just hearing the song In Transmission off this album, and it's my favorite song on it. And it really sounded like Failure to me, like it gave me those vibes. So I was like, oh my gosh, I need to listen to the rest of it. And the rest of it doesn't sound like that, but it's still really good. Calms me down, even though it's not calming music. It just puts me in like a good state of mind. And it's like kind of nostalgic to me for whatever reason. I can't pinpoint it, but it is.
Fire. We both like that album. And now I'm going to move on to the band Price Horse and the album Undersound. Price Horse, a band I've been a fan of for a while now, and they finally released their debut album. And what an album. They clearly display all abilities within the band when it comes to songwriting, when it comes to riff making, when it comes to just creating this whole energy and vibe to the music. And I was really stoked to hear it because it's exactly how I would have imagined a Price Horse album. They absolutely killed it on their first album, and that's a hard thing to do. Sometimes you just want to put your foot on the gas. Sometimes bands don't know how to put their foot on the gas and release some ass. So Price Horse didn't release any ass, they released gas. So just this huge distorted sound, and I've always loved the vocals. It sounds very emo, and yeah, just emo to me.
The next album I'm going to be talking about is by a band called Paleface Swiss. It's like a deathcore band or something like that. Don't attack me if that's like the wrong genre. I don't exactly know what the genre is, but it's called Chapter 3, The Last Selection. It's like in a series of, there's like 2 EPs I think before it, and then Chapter 3 is the album. I like the album. It's like really heavy music, you know? Yeah. That probably looked wrong. I don't know. I feel like I'm the worst person to like tell you about albums I like because I just like albums. I don't go into a deep dive. He's really good at talking like that. I'm not. I'm just going to be like, I like the album. It makes me feel good in my brain, and that's why I listen to it.
Do you have any favorite songs on that album, Alexa?
Lights Out and Go for the Throat are 2 of my favorites. I recommend if you're going to listen to the album, listen to Lights Out first, and then maybe it'll like ease you into it.
I have heard Alexa play this music in the car, and it is very aggressive, and it is very just metal core riff hitting. So a lot of calculated screaming, a lot of noise. So the next album on my list is by the band Strictly Ballroom, and this is their collection album. It's like the only album they have on Spotify, and it's just through the years in the 90s, I think 94 to like 99, something like that. And yeah, just has all this like emo, screamo, amazing music, amazing vocals, amazing drumming. Love the riffs. I always focus on the riffs because, you know, that's obviously a big part of the music. And I just loved the whole 90s essence of the band. If that makes any sense, it doesn't. But very articulate details for the band. My bad if I disrespected you guys, but I feel like you guys have to listen to the music to understand what I'm saying. So, should I just do that next? Yeah. Oh my God, chill.
It looks hecka funny.
I'm gonna go back to back real quick because Alexa is pretty silly and doesn't have many details for the albums that she wrote down. This next album is by a band we both saw live in San Francisco, the same place I interviewed Julie. If you guys didn't watch that amazing conducted interview which Alexa recorded. I interviewed. This is the album Common Suffering by Harm's Way. So I didn't really know anything about this band, and I'm just being honest. So when I first saw them walk up on stage, Alexa was like, oh my God, that dude is huge, because he had like this bodybuilding physique. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, he looked like John Cena from afar. He was like jacked. He was massive. And then he just started like jumping around on stage, like super high in the air, and was like throwing his hands everywhere, like perfectly on beat. It was like really like mesmerizing to watch. His singing voice once he opened his mouth was like insane.
But yeah, once he walked out and the whole band walked out and I just saw the lead singer, I was like, bro, this is like linebacker hardcore. That instantly stuck into my brain, like the phrase to call it, linebacker core football hardcore. And it was funny because his voice matched his physique, and it was just crazy. It was just like this monster on stage. This album, they pretty much played a bunch of songs off of it, and I loved pretty much everything that they sang and sung and yelled and just vibed out with. A very fun band, very, very fun hardcore band, and shout out Harm's Way. Made me a fan right there.
The next album I'm going to talk about is by a band called Weedeater, a stoner metal, sludge metal band. It's the album God Luck and Good Speed. I don't know what I'm trying to say, man. I'm gonna rip all my teeth out right now. So I was actually listening to an Electric Wizard like shuffled playlist, and a song by Weedeater came on, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? It sounded really similar to Electric Wizard, and I love Electric Wizard. They're like not my fave band of all time, but one of them. And I think the first song I heard by Weedeater was God Luck and Good Speed. They remind me, like their music reminds me of my dad. I don't know why, it just does, and it just makes me happy listening to it. I guess I'm saying my dad's a stoner. Well, he was. So I don't know. I like it a lot. If you like Electric Wizard, you're gonna like Weedeater. In my opinion, I think that's how that's gonna work out. On to Ricky, because he has some words too. He has better analysis than me.
I don't have the craziest analysis. I just know that I've heard a bunch of songs by Weedeater in the car with Alexa as usual. And the guitar always reminded me of just like exactly what she said, like sludgy metal, like this, not, what's King Buzzo's band? The Melvins, something like that. A little bit just like groggy and not grungy, but you know what I'm saying. Muddy.
It kind of has folky country vibes to it in a way, which I also like, because I grew up listening to country music as well. But it's like not like bad country music. It's like the good original country music. In my ears, that's what it sounds like. Yeah. Don't. It's the act. That made me hecka out of breath, bro.
This next album I found fairly recently, and right from the start I loved it, and that's why it's making my list. And this is the album Throw Into Air by the band Flower Language. And this album by the band is very much that new wave of shoegaze that's going around. It's like grunge gaze. It's very much a lot of riffage, a lot of slacker vocal tone, stuff like that. So it's only 8 songs on this album, and that's a fairly nice size for this sound. You don't get bored, or you don't think things get repetitive or anything like that. So right when you get into it, you know what you're going to get. It's very soothing, very, very nice. And sometimes you got to have those albums that are really easy to get into. You could put on any song in the album. You don't have to think about the whole song and lyrics or anything like that. So shout out Flower Language. I'm gonna go back to back again because this is the last album on my fairly short list. I try to give a lot of detail, and I feel like I gave a little bit of mid detail, but this next album is by the band Polvo, and it is called Cor-Crane Secret. Indie rock legends from the 90s, and I always hear that this band gets compared to Sonic Youth, and I hear a lot of people say that they ripped them off, which is stupid. Don't say that. That's kind of disrespectful because I feel like they have a totally different sound. I get that they have like this sort of ruckus thing where it's like there's a bunch of noise, but I hear it very much differently. I feel like I hear Pavement a little bit more within Polvo and less of Sonic Youth. Had to keep it short and sweet because Alexa has like 15 million bands, and I want her to just like knock them all out, all down.
So this next album I'm going to talk about, I actually discovered from the band Julie when he went to interview them, and I was holding the camera, eavesdropping on the whole thing. It's the album by Mad Planets called Music Makes Me Think of You, a collection. And I remember the Julie band members describing it as like twee music, and I like think that's the perfect word to describe this album. It's very much twee, I guess. And it has like some emo aspects, I think. It kind of reminds me of Ribbon Fix a little bit. Yeah, it's really happy sounding music. And very like personal sounding music.
Yeah, Mad Planets reminds me a lot of bands like Velocity Girl, and Velocity Girl and Mad Planets make this very colorful music. Reminds me of a box of crayons.
I was gonna tell you one of my favorite songs off the album, but I can't really pick one because I like all of them. Like I said, they're a 90s band, but they kind of sound modern almost. They have 90s, obviously they have 90s elements because it's an album from the 90s. I'm getting so mad because I've tried saying this like 15 times. Ricky's gonna be dying next to me because I can't say this. Anyways, like I said, they are a 90s band, but they have a very modern sound to them. And I think it's cool that the sound is modern and it's like still relevant to like what's being created today, if that makes sense. Like when I first listened to them, I didn't think they were like a 90s band. I was like, wow, this is really good. And I was like, it's really good, but they have 90s elements. And then I looked into the band and I was like, oh, well, no, duh, that's because they're from the 90s. Shout out Mad Planets. This next one is a quick one and an obvious one to me. It's 2 albums by Hum. You Prefer an Astronaut and Downward is Heavenward. Those stay on my favorite album lists all the time. I just wanted to throw that out there. Listen to them both. There's his Hum shirt. He loves that shirt. He wears it 15 days a week, even there's only 7.
I literally never.
I actually have another EP I forgot to mention in the beginning. It's called Blow It Out Your Ass. It's Veruca Salt by Veruca Salt. I actually haven't really heard like much chatter about this EP. So I gave it a listen myself, and I was like, wow, this needs to be talked about more. Shimmer Like a Girl is my favorite song off that EP. It has that original Veruca Salt sound. It reminds me of Volcano Girls, which, I mean, all their music should have their signature sound, but whatever. What am I even saying? The next album I'm going to talk about is by Everyone Asked About You, and it's called Let's Be Enemies. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard of the song Sometimes Memory Fails Me Sometimes. If you're on TikTok, I'm sure you've heard it. It like blew up. A lot of people like to use it for those little slideshow videos. Since my analysis on all these albums is horrible, I've just resorted to telling you some of my favorite songs off the albums. So one of my favorite songs off this album is Crazy. So Crazy and then Letters Never Sent off this album are some really good ones. If you want to check it out, I recommend listening to those ones. The last album I'm going to talk about is called The Secret Sound by Mediavolo. I'm not really sure how to say that. I found them on TikTok actually by watching a slideshow of like Blythe doll pictures, and the song I heard was Mass Anesthesia, which is a really good song, by the way, and it's a song that's on this album. It's very like ethereal kind of, but like mysterious sounding music. There's a lot of different sounds going on in it, and it kind of reminds me of Pram in a way, the band Pram. If any of you have heard of it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or Pram. I think it's Pram. Yeah. Once again, I want to apologize for not giving the most insane analysis. That's Ricky's job. I'm just here to look pretty and stare at myself in the viewfinder.
So that was the whole video. Hopefully my editing will do this video justice because I feel like we've been here for like 2 hours. We hope you guys enjoyed all these albums, and maybe we put you on, maybe you guys heard albums that you always hear about or know about, or maybe you guys just have good taste in music and nobody can shock you with a good album. So yeah, I don't really have much to say, but thank you, Alexa, for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe.
Keep the music alive.
This video was a vibe.
Bye.